And good morning. Welcome to the Old School podcast about a veritable plethora of things, not least of which education, history, sports, philosophy, literature, food, culture, you name it, we talk about it. And with me, here, Dr. Bourgeois. Good morning, Dr. Bourgeois.
Herr Miller, that was the shortest introduction on record, and I kind of liked it. You usually get off track, and I don't even know what to say. So thank you for the brevity. Um, it's not just
We'll
the
fix
two.
that later.
Yeah, but it's not just the two of us. I think you were making time for our guest,
Yes, that's it.
and so you just cut right to the chase instead of your normal whimsy, talking around something, but we might as well introduce our guest now. This is Dr. Alex Fingers, a good friend and a high school principal in the DFW area. Welcome, Alex.
I'm glad to be on you guys' show. I appreciate you having me. Even though the one of your co-hosts is a Ravens fan, we're gonna find a way to get through this together.
Well, I appreciate you dealing with my moral depravity and my lack of discernment and judgment. So, and that is with that topic that I do have an initial problem, and I need help. Right now, my daughter in the background, hopefully you cannot hear it. She's like 3 rooms down. She is listening and singing at the top of her lungs. Taylor Swift. Pitbull showed up earlier. I don't know what she's doing. She's 9. This is not the way I raised her. I want everyone to know just off the bat, this is not what I was hoping for when I first took that bundle of joy home. I had images of a Stones fan, a blues fan, a jazz fan. I had all these ambitions, and they're all to the wayside. And my concern is, how do you fix it? How do I get this kid off this stuff and back to more substantive, uplifting music? Not to sound like the preacher from Footloose, but I mean this is not good. Which
Sounds a lot like Footloose. Alex, I'll let you take the first crack at solving Herr Miller's problem.
I'm impressed that you were able to slide Footloose into this conversation dealing with Taylor Swift. You should get points just for that alone. Listen, I understand. Again, I'm a high school principal, and one of the things that I'm responsible for is a little bit of oversight of the type of clubs or the list of clubs that are desired by our students. And so one of the most popular student led clubs is the Swifty Club, which is all about Taylor Swift. And you'd be surprised the number of things they could think about to discuss on the topic of Taylor Swift. And we kind of started off talking even before we started recording about football. And my God, she's even crossed over into the NFL network and has has made an impact on the jersey sales even of a football player. So I mean, I hate to tell you this, but she's pretty powerful, and I don't think she's losing any power by the day.
Here's what we need to do. We need to create a Nina Simone group
Nina
or a
who?
Stevie Nicks group
Oh,
or something. Let's get an implant in there. We'll rig it. It's maybe we can't tell me Nina Simone can't stand up to Taylor Swift. There's got to be something. There's got to be salvation just around the corner.
Man, that's a tough road to hoe, as my grandparents would say. Taylor Swift is pretty powerful, man, and she's talented. You cannot deny that. I mean,
That's true.
a lady that sells out stadiums at the clip that she does. You got to at least respect her craft and her dedication to it. So
But the
there,
thing is,
as having seen the list of things and just understanding what high schoolers are interested in, I would just say this: if it makes you feel any better, it could be worse.
well, yeah, I was thinking that of all the things she could have been getting into, but it's like when we had this idea that we were going to turn her into this Epicurean kind of eats everything kind of individual, and that, of course, that went down the tubes pretty fast. And then same thing with the music, she got a good dose of Stevie Nicks and Sarah Vaughan and the Pretenders and all this other stuff. And she just, I mean, she'll listen to it if I'm listening to it, but she just doesn't gravitate towards it the way some of these talented folks today have the capacity of doing. But alas, you're not here to help me with my veritable parental
No,
issues.
he
But
isn't. He isn't actually.
Listen, I'm here for moral support.
I
Keep
appreciate it. Thank
keep
you.
the hope alive. Good music still exists, and sometimes people discover it at a different clip than we'd like. But keep
True.
hope alive.
Keep hope alive.
Your job is to keep pressing play.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Bourgeois, you and Dr. Fingers have been working together on a particular project. That seems like a kind of an obvious beginning. Dr. Fingers, would you like to talk a little bit about what it is that y'all are working on and what kind of led you to
Yeah,
this topic?
yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I've had a chance of gaining some great experiences, and I think it's had a lot to do with any levels of success that I've been able to sustain thus far. Is my background in athletics, having played football, at the Pee Wee level all the way through, I think, ninth grade, and then basketball even before then, all the way through college. I got a basketball scholarship um, to play there, play at the University of Arkansas Little Rock. So just all of the places that I've been able to go and experiences I've been able to have based on the athletic realm, being able to participate at a high level in athletics. And so with that being said, I've had exposure to really good coaches and different coaches, different styles, but fundamentally what we've learned is that there is a formula to good coaching. And so regardless of the tactics or the deliveries and different things of that nature, there are some fundamental things that good coaches tend to share. And when you look at our profession, being educators at heart, you always are looking for ways to move the needle, to have more success for kids, to create more opportunities for teachers to enjoy the craft even more, to give more time back, to spend less time doing things that are least effective, and then more time doing things that are most effective. And so naturally, some of the things that our great researchers who've put a lot of time and energies toward investigating learning and the things that go into learning, a lot of their a lot of their suggestions seem to parallel with good coaching. And with that being the case, it warranted an investigation. It warranted a closer dive, a deep dive into what other characteristics of coaches and successful coaches at that, and how they interact with their players, and then um, thinking about that in relation to students and what do students need to be successful from teachers. I think with anything, like when you think about communications, you're only as effective as your audience is able to receive the message. So if your audience, you might have, designed an amazing speech, but the audience didn't receive it because of in your design, you didn't consider them most. You considered what you wanted to get across, and not what they needed to hear. And so, and with time being of the essence, with resources being finite, you're always looking for things as an educational leader. You're always looking for things to give teachers an edge, to give teachers more of an opportunity to work a little more systemically and not constantly be behind the eight ball, if you will. And so, looking at a study into what successful coaches do and the parallels to that in student achievement are things that have kind of caught our eye and has kind of driven this investigation into the topic of coaches and what they do, and if those things translate to good data for our students in the classroom.
And let me add one thing. We're expanding the idea of what a coach is. Not necessarily athletic, but we're looking at any directors, band directors, drama, any activity that's out of volition, out of choice for the student. And there tends to be something different in the dynamic. And so some of our best motivators are on the football field, the basketball field, or in the band hall, and they have an advantage that really classrooms don't have. They have a shared goal, and everybody wants to be there, and so there's a lot that we can learn, and I think our end game is to get the two groups talking together so that the coaches and their insights can inform what should be happening in the classroom. And so we want to talk, and we have been talking to a lot of coaches. We have a nice data set, and a lot of themes are emerging, but a lot of it has to do with the nature of the relationship. It's not just simply they have a good relationship, but they have a special relationship that's really built on trust and a lot of other things.
It sounds similar to, I mentioned before, there was he may still be around. There's a sociologist named Harry Edwards who worked with this 49ers head coach back in the late 70s, early 80s. Name is eluding me at the moment.
You're talking about Joe Walsh?
Yes.
Joe Walsh?
And so
I call him Joe Walsh. He's a guitar player.
But no, Edwards talked about the notion of working with Walsh to try to define what is the kind of personality that you need on a football field, on a team, in order to have winners. What kind of characteristics does a person need to have? What kind of characteristics does a person not need to have in order to be able to create or to look for and to correctly draft the right kind of people to be a part of your team? So it sounds like, if I can juxtapose that onto y'all's research, it sounds like you're trying to kind of identify and then kind of promote these characteristics in an effective coach who could also be an effective teacher in the classroom, and then also take those ideas to the larger faculty to try to create a culture on campus that's both effective and also beneficial to the kids.
I think you did a great job of summarizing our intent. You're absolutely right. We're definitely interested in, again, student success, and we want teachers to be happy in the process of teaching, and you're happy in the process when you're experiencing success. Much like with coaching, Walsh was happy when he had players like Joe Montana and Steve Young, Jerry Rice, Roger Craig, Ronnie Lott. Those kind of guys, of course, makes his job a little easier because you have the talent. But even beyond that, maximizing that talent is probably what drove him every day as a head coach of an organization that's been really, really successful. So the same could be said with teachers. If we could find ways to empower them to look at things differently in a way that coaches tend to naturally look at things. Coaches, and I say coaches, but Dr. B kind of alluded to it, coaches, directors, sponsors of programs and of theater and band and choir, the way they look at their individual talent and they're able to get the most out of their talent. Sometimes they have to stop and really like reflect on what they're doing, because it's just so innate to them and it becomes so natural to them that they don't even fully like understand the magnitude of all of the little things that they're doing that's making a difference in their programs. And so that level of metacognition, if you will, is something that I think has been brought forward in these interviews, and has now led to different themes that have emerged that we're starting to see patterns on, and saying, wow, what if more teachers took time to do that? And I know the age old complaint about time as it relates to teachers is we don't have enough of it. And we tend to think that if we could get started faster on the X's and O's, if you will, on the curriculum, then we would guarantee more success. But John Wooden, UCLA's historic Hall of Fame, he's in the coaching, probably Mount Rushmore.
Mm-hmm.
First day of practice, he basically tells everybody this is a basketball. He shows it to them, and the first thing we're going to do on the basketball court is learn how to tie our shoes. And they go through a process of doing something that would seemingly be a waste of time. But again, the good coaches realize that they can make up time in the air once those relationships are established. You hear your pilots sometimes tell you when they're pushing back a little later than what they would like to, or what they were scheduled to push back, that they're going to make up some time in the air based off of some of the conditions. I think the good coaches, they know that there are going to be always some opportunities to make up time in the air, but they're not always going to be opportunities to establish those meaningful relationships that you can only establish in the beginning.
So, so let me jump on one other area, because we've talked about relationships. I love that idea of making up time in the air. Almost sounds like a book title, it's a wonderful image. Some of the comments came back about feedback, and it's something that might be lacking just because of logistics within a classroom, but the speed of the feedback, just how directed it is, and Alex, can you talk a little bit about that, maybe on the athletic field, and what gives the coaches sort of an advantage, but still it could translate into the classroom?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you think about if you go to Party City and you say, I want a coach's outfit, the first thing they're going to give you is a whistle. That's pretty much universal for coaching, right? You got to have a whistle. And the reason you have that whistle is because you need to be able to stop things in real time and have everyone freeze. And that's some of your teaching that you do in the earlier stages when you're establishing your team and your routines. When I blow the whistle, everybody freeze, because I want to show something. I see something that I don't think you all see. I want to show it to you in real time. I want to correct it, and I want to give you more opportunities to do it again. If you go back to the research that John Hattie and Marzano have completed, both of them have asserted that the feedback loop is a very important element of moving the needle with academics, with learning. And what I've learned is, just in my 20 years of education, feedback benefits all types of learners. Just like it does on the field, it benefits all types of players. When you start quarterback and you say, look at your shoulder on that position, it's drooping. We need to get it up. And that's why your pass is a little bit, off when we're running the 15 and out, or whatever the coaching is. If the coach is able to stop the quarterback in real time and catch him doing it wrong, then they're also able to do that same thing, stopping them in real time after they've done it right, to also give them some positive reinforcement. So that's true to the classroom as well. If our struggling learners really need to be stopped before they continue down a path of making or creating bad habits, or starting to go awry on a concept. They need to be stopped in real time as soon as possible, and given the right moves to get back on track. And believe it or not, this it's not been a very popular opinion, but what I've seen is that the high achievers, the highest of the high, also become paralyzed when they don't know if they are on the right track. And sometimes we take that for granted that they're also looking for feedback often, and that reassures that they're on the right track, so that it allows them to continue producing a product. So I would say feedback has been one that has definitely emerged, and it's not been a stranger to us as far as when you look at the world of research around feedback and the benefits of it. But it was very shocking, but not to see how big a deal that was for coaches. And I'm talking very successful coaches that have won state championships in the state of Texas at a high level, how important that was for their programs.
What are some of the challenges, though, with regards to trying to translate what happens on the field, on the court, into the classroom? Because I think we've all had the experience where we know coaches that were great teachers, and we
Mhm.
knew coaches that were horrible teachers.
Oh yeah.
And if you take away, maybe just someone who's not interested in it, if someone who wants to do well but is not able to do it, what are some of the pitfalls that can prevent a coach or a teacher from utilizing some of these strategies in the classroom?
Well, there's several, and one of the things you mentioned, I think earlier, was just the fact that your directors, your coaches, they have students who have selected their their discipline, their sport, their activity based off of an interest, a high interest, and the common goal that's shared between the coach and those students in those particular organizations is success on the stage, on the football field, on the volleyball field, on the golf course, etc. So naturally, those those motivations that are intrinsically, driven, help coaches when they're in their respective, and directors when they're in their respective, sports. But I think we have to also assume that when you're teaching math, for example, every student in front of you is not interested in a career that involves a lot of math. And if you could understand that what they want is to be successful in your course, but not necessarily interested in becoming a mathematician, then you'll know how to tailor your expectations. And for instance, when I say about tailor your expectations, for example, um, you can give kid A who wants to be a mathematician 200 problems for homework, and they'll appreciate you for it because they love nothing more than solving equations. Student B, who's not interested in being a mathematician, but definitely wants to be successful in your class. I don't think any kid goes up to any class that said, I don't want to be successful. If the teacher's expectation of the 200 problems of math going to be turned in and received like student A, then they're not being realistic about their profession and about the course that they're instructing. So then why is that important? In my opinion, that's important because now you have to teach to an audience who may not be as interested. So you have to start thinking about, what if I wasn't as interested in math? What type of examples would I like to see that would make something that's abstract as place values? How would I make that something that's real and not overwhelming? So I think, and I think that's what every coach does every year. Except even the pros sometimes don't get the players that they want on the draft board. So you're pretty much at the end of it all. Once your season is started, you have the pieces that you have, and you have to figure out a game plan to be successful with those pieces. I think I think our teachers would benefit from also being realistic about the pieces that they have, understanding their audience, and now designing the X's and O's or the offense around the pieces that they have to maximize that level of success. And that's what good coaches are willing to do. A good coach runs a play that doesn't work 2 times in a row. You're not going to see him run that same play on third down. And if you do, you're going to start hearing boos from the fans because now they're expecting more out of the coach, right?
Right.
You've seen good teachers who've taught it one way their entire career continue to try to teach it that same way, even though first, second, and third down, they've had losses on the play.
Mm.
And so those
Those,
are some things that I think coaches are willing to do. They're willing to scrap the playbook from week to week. They're willing to make changes from year to year based on personnel. And I think our teachers have to be confident in their abilities enough to know that they too have the authority to change the playbook and accomplish success, even given the parameters that they're given each year with a curriculum.
we're talking about like a mental and philosophical flexibility that a coach or a teacher has to have to be able to address this kind of myriad of motivations that exist in their classroom.
Yeah. And quite frankly, with the with the uptick of AI and how powerful AI has become, this is what gives us our job security. The fact that humans can really analyze other humans and and make the changes necessary to fit that human based off of interaction, based off of being able to look you in your eyes and understand frustration and understand if you're getting it and understand. That's what makes us still so valuable is the human element of it. Because as far as computing is concerned and actually doing the behind the scenes stuff, you're not going to beat AI. That machine is too powerful. It pulls from too many resources and it's too accurate. But the touch that the teacher has always had, that's always been the essence of the school, and the same relationship that the coaches and players have has always been their abilities to understand their players and deal with them individually and collectively simultaneously, which is an art. And that's the art of teaching that definitely is something that we have to make sure that we're maintaining, because if we don't get really good at that or maintain that or see joy in that element of it, AI is coming to bring in the science of it. It knows that. And as smart as the AI is becoming, eventually I'm assuming it's going to start being able to pick up on some of the things that humans are able to do naturally. But right now, I think that's where our advantage lies, and I think we should play heavily on those advantages because the relationship part of it is something that a computer to a person hadn't been able to necessarily develop. But a human to human, that relationship has been since the beginning of time.
So if we can dig into the outcomes of a lot of this, we're talking about achievement, performance, winning, passing classes, and so forth. But if we go back to your dissertation and some work by Angela Duckworth, we're behind all this is the idea of grit or resilience and creating some type of a character trait through sports, through academics that translates and it'll stay with that kid when they're in college and beyond. So, Dr. Fingers, can you talk a little bit about that construct and how it might be the theory behind all of this?
Absolutely. And I think I started off the podcast talking about my experience with athletics and how it's been able to forge opportunities for me in that realm that crossed over into academics. But a lot of the disciplines that I've been able to learn from coaches have translated into my professional work. Deadlines and something as small as touching every line on a line drill becomes now making sure that you read every email thoroughly that you're getting and to make sure that you're not missing out on things that are pertinent within that's been communicated to you. I mean, there's so many examples of the things that you have to do when it comes to participating in extracurriculars, the sacrificing and the prioritizing and the planning and those things that bode well in any other realm of life, be it um, college and post-secondary courses and opportunities and running companies, etc. So grit is definitely something that I investigated during my research, and one of the things that emerged from that was that it does make a difference. Statistically, there was significance found and certain students and their abilities and the correlation between them having grit and having some academic success. And and even qualitatively, uh, all students listed things and or participants listed things and gave examples, very colorful examples of why grit was so important to them and how their mindsets um, has driven them to the levels of success that they have. And even when they've experienced some setbacks, which is a part of life, right? Just like with coaching and athletics and band and everything, you don't always win first place. You don't always win the state championship. But the abilities to analyze what happened, what went wrong, what went well, and come back and to go at it again and making those self-reflective changes based off of what you were able to, learn from those errors or for failure, if you will. Those are things that propel students way beyond um, what maybe they'd accomplish based off of just intellect alone. Because there's going to be a point where, regardless of, I have students that have scored perfect scores on the SAT, and they're still going to go through stages in life where they're going to have things not come as easy, even though they're intellectually gifted and they have a tremendous work ethic and a very strong mindset. They're still gonna be pushed to the test, if you will, on some things in some areas in life, and their abilities to experience setback and push through to get to the other side is what makes the difference between a lot of people who that you see who are very successful running different things and those who have just as much talent or more who maybe not.
I'm curious, as you sit here and you try to define what makes a good coach and how to kind of use that to kind of instruct how we do things in the classroom, is there something about a coach that's exclusive to coaches? In a sense that, we all have our specialties, we all have our strengths and weaknesses, subject wise, personality wise, whatever the case may be. And the reason why some of us are not coaches is because some of us would be horrible as coaches. Is there something that perhaps is more exclusive to that personality that is drawn to that field that maybe is not so easily replicated by non-coaches?
One of the things that I've noticed in my own personal experiences with coaches and interviewing coaches and reading about coaches and somewhat learning about a lot of them from afar is they take their abilities to get you to your next level personally. And in education, that's not always the case. As recent as my doctoral courses, I've been in classes where the teacher would say, "Hey, you should know how to do this, and if you don't know how to do this, you need to go back and watch a video on learning how to do this." Basically telling me, if you don't know how to do it, it's not my fault. It's your fault. You go back and figure it out. There's some videos somewhere that if you watch, then you should know how to do it. But don't look for me to help you get to that level. I'm not here to help you. Whereas coaches take it personally. It's kind of like kindergarten teachers. Kindergarten teachers and coaches are a lot alike in the sense that they take it personally. The things that you can't do, they say, well, when you leave my class, you're going to be able to do that. Ross, you can't tie your shoes now? Don't worry. By the time you leave my class, you'll be tying your shoes. The bad teachers say, Ross, you can't tie your shoes. Not my fault. Your parents must need to do this or do that. Or the teacher before you should have taught you, or you should have worked harder. So the coaches find ways to personalize growth in their players. Like they take it as their responsibilities. And the good players who need coaches who are like that, they feed off of that. And they don't want to let that coach down because they know that coach is working so hard to get them better that they want to do their part. And before you know it, it's kind of like me pushing you on the training wheels, with training wheels. And then I've taken the training wheels off and I'm still pushing you. You're thinking, don't let me go, don't let me go. And you look back and I've let you go a long time ago because you're putting in the work, you're pedaling. And the good coaches, they'll hold it back until you're ready to do it on your own, and they'll make you believe it was you who were able to accomplish this, and they take great pride in that. They're not very boastful about what they were able to do. If you listen to Dean Smith, you'll never hear him say what he did to make Michael Jordan Michael Jordan.
Right.
All you hear him say is, man, Michael Jordan was one of the hardest workers I ever had. He come in there, he did this, he does that. And when he left, he was drenched, soaking wet, but he'd be out to practice still taking shots. He deflects all of his input and all of the stuff that he imparted in Michael Jordan to make Michael Jordan who he is, or to shape Michael Jordan into the player that he's become. He doesn't bring that up because in his mind, that's just what he's supposed to do as the head coach. And he has other players to do that same thing for. And that's why I say they have that ability to individually and collectively meet needs. And that is not an easy thing to do.
Great example. And basketball, I think, is unique because it's intimate. You have not so many players and a coach working with them. A lot of things you're talking about, could apply to a position coach who has a very direct relationship with those players, and in a way, maybe more closely related to a classroom teacher than say the head football coach of a whole program.
Absolutely. And the reason why the head coach is the head coach of the program is because at one point he was a position coach and he was really good at it.
Mm-hmm.
And he got so good at it that they gave him more responsibilities and a greater group of players to lead, till eventually he's now leading the leaders of those teams. He's leading the position coaches, he's leading all of the coordinators, etc. So
I think it also kind of makes it even more remarkable, the head coaches that are able to build those relationships directly, simply because they are dealing with a large amount of individuals, not unlike a school teacher who has throughout the course of a week 150 160 kiddos. The ability to be able to make connections is not an easy task. I mean,
right.
many people can do it one-on-one.
Right.
Whether you can do it on scale is a different matter altogether.
Yeah, and so when you bring that up, you're asking now the question: how do I make connections with 150 kids? And you can start by smiling.
Yeah.
That's universal.
Yes.
You can go to any part of the world pretty much, and a smile is universal. And you don't have to know the person's name, their age, religion, sexual orientation. None of that stuff even matters. If you smile and present yourself as friendly and someone who could be of help, of service, of support, you're naturally tearing walls down before before you've even had an opportunity to establish those things. And in every classroom setting, it's different, and there are different ways that you can go about establishing relationships. I like to look at things and try to guess based off of like for instance, I used to work at a school where everyone wore uniforms. So you didn't really get a chance to see the personality of the student in uniform. So if we didn't like, one of the comments we made right away when we got on the phone is, "Hey, what are you doing with that Steelers shirt on?" You're able to tell right away my personality towards professional football based off of the shirt that I selected. So it gives you an inroad without even having said hello to establish some level of understanding of who that person is just based on something as simple as a t-shirt that I have on. Well, I worked in a place where everyone had to wear polos, khakis, and that was every day. No shorts. It was polos and khakis every day. And you had 3 colors of polos. You had 3 colors of khakis that you can do, and you can do any combination of those 3 and 3, but that was pretty much your standard until we had a day where it was, no, I don't even think we had that for students. I was going to say Spirit Day, but that was just for staff to wear a Spirit shirt.
Mhm.
So anyway, it makes it a little harder when you have everyone in uniform, which is why the military does what? They put everyone in uniform. They want you to be able to tell anybody apart from one person to the other. But here's the thing that you do in a situation like that, or here's something I did. I look down at their shoes because if a kid only has one way to express themselves because they're wearing uniforms every day, it's going to be in their shoes. So I look down at their shoes and they were in Converse, and I said, okay, people who wear Converse generally like this, they generally like that. Sometimes they like this, and again, it's all conjecture, it's all just speculation, but it gives me an opportunity to try to develop something based off of something that I've noticed. And the fact that you noticed a kid's shoes is enough to start a conversation every day now. Man, where'd you get those? You like Jordans, huh? Oh yeah, my dad buys me all the old retro Jordans. Well, guess what? I had those same Jordans back in 1989. And do you remember the game that he wore those in? And now you're starting relationships just like that before you even learn the kid's name. So it takes intentionality. It takes you wanting to do that. Some people don't want to do that, and those people don't make good teachers. They just don't. We have to be honest with ourselves about the profession. If you don't want to know the kids you're teaching, you don't want to be a teacher.
That's
Just
pretty
like
simple. Yeah,
if a coach doesn't want to know the players, you don't want to be the coach because that's a part of the process. You're not coaching robots, you're coaching people. And again, with AI being what it is, that's where we have the advantage. And if we're not capitalizing on that human touch, we're leaving ourselves susceptible for a lot of things that is coming down the pipe.
absolutely. Um, I knew this would happen. It feels like we could talk for hours and hours because we're just scratching the surface. So let's consider this round one, if that's okay with you, Alex. Just
Oh yeah, absolutely.
a longer conversation, and on a personal note, there's some football to be watched today, and somebody's got to watch all those games.
You
I
know
don't
what?
watch yourself, so
That's right.
That's something we also have on AI right now. We can watch games and actually cheer and have the emotions that come with losing. I
Wow.
don't think robots have that emotion just yet.
No, I experienced it last night. I'm still wearing my Oregon shirt because they played hard. They didn't pack it in the second half, but um they
Are they going to be in the Pac-12 next year?
here's the other reason I'm wearing the shirt. The Pac-12 is essentially, well, it is dissolved. So we've seen the last Pac-12, and that was the conference of my youth. I grew up in Eugene, Oregon, sitting in the end zone of Autzen Stadium,
Oh
watching all
wow!
these great teams go through there. John Elway and I watching, and all of them were there, and it's over. And so suddenly they're going to be playing what, Purdue and Indiana and Michigan. They're in the Big Ten. They've
Yeah,
dispersed.
wow.
They're,
Wow.
it's
But
sad.
what you So what you need is you need a palate cleanser. This is what you need.
A
This is what
palate?
Alabama and Texas is all for. It's going to be a palate cleanser for you.
Oh, I guess so. No, we don't sweat the Big Ten. I think we'll be fine. I don't think that they're looking forward to playing Oregon, because they
Yeah, no,
present a lot of different problems, particularly speed. Um,
yeah. That's one thing we can say is consistent with Oregon is they're fast. They're going to
mhm.
be fast in everything: basketball,
Yeah,
football, track, cross country. They're
that's
going to be
right.
fast.
That's it. Well, let's call it a day, but to be continued. And thank you, Dr. Fingers, for joining us. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely, I've enjoyed myself with you guys today.
All right, Herr Miller, you want to take us out?
Well, until the next time, either with Dr. Fingers or someone else who has the hard task of following Dr. Fingers, we'll see you on the next episode. And I shall bid you adieu, Herr Dr. Bourgeois.
Auf Wiedersehen, Herr Miller. Auf Wiedersehen, Herr Dr. Fingers.